So I'm excited to see you tonight, excited to welcome you here, excited to see some new faces and faces I know so close and intimately well. So happy to be here with you. We got a little bit of a late start tonight because we had a little problem with the link. So we had about 50 people register for this to show up tonight, and I have a feeling they can't get in. So we'll try and get that worked out. We're recording, and we will absolutely send the recording out and make sure that people that didn't make it in get the information, and that we get this fixed for next week. But this is so exciting for me. I've been excited all day long about this, because I've been really for about 2 years knowing the time would come that I would step back in online and have this time once a week to see real faces in real time and really talk together and share a message. And still I want this to be a regular, I want it to be a regular thing and a reliable thing, and also relatively quick, because it's a Wednesday night and you have other things going on. So you can expect on these Wednesday nights that it'll be about 20 to 30 minutes max. And what I'll do, so that you're all aware, is we'll record this, come in together, spend some time together. I'll give a little reflection, and then I'm going to say thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to hit the record button, and everybody who is watching the recording can then not be done watching the recording. And then it will be, I'll take another 10 to 15 minutes to just have us have time to say hello and talk and answer questions, and just kind of have a little fellowships, a kind of space afterwards to connect with one another. So that's why I say 20 to 30 minutes of just being together. And you don't have to stay for that. You can stay if you like, and if you have other things to do, totally get that. So tonight, as we gather in the middle of October for the first time, Mark and I have just come back from Mexico, where we had the opportunity to go to Oaxaca and to be with practitioners who have, with tribal indigenous people who have practiced what they practice for thousands of years. And we had the chance to actually be with them and build an altar to the ancestors and go to ancient sites and feel the energy of who is there, and spend time in circle and in ceremony with a group of people really committed to using this time when the veils are thin to reconnect and reestablish that awareness of the ancestors. So one of the things that's really interesting to me and is always on my mind at this time of year is how much we carry our ancestors with us, how much we actually understand ourselves to be connected to other people, to be carrying the blood of our ancestors, to be carrying more than the blood of our ancestors, right? To be carrying the epigenetic signature. So let's talk for a minute first about what that means. So all of us know, we're really familiar with our DNA. We know that we have DNA, and we know that our DNA kind of tells our cells who we are, what to become, what to form, what not to form, all of that stuff. Our DNA is written in pen. This is what our DNA is. Our epigenetic influence, our epigenetic signature is the way I often think of it, is written in pencil. And what that means is within our DNA, we carry a signature of our ancestors. And we can carry an awareness of things that make us very happy. We can carry a signature that is a talent that passes down epigenetically from our ancestors. We can also carry ancestral wounds. Things that happen to our ancestors can affect us. And if we never take the time to look at it, we never take the time to consider those epigenetic signatures, then the influence that our ancestors have will just be the influence. Maybe we're afraid of snakes forever because somewhere in our history an ancestor was bitten by a snake or chased by a bear or something like that. Maybe we're just always afraid of something that we really don't ever question. Why am I afraid of that thing? Whatever happened to me that made me afraid? Maybe we just never question, and so we never realize that it's not our fear. It's Uncle Joe's fear or Aunt Betsy's fear or someone in our history. So science says we can carry epigenetic signatures about 11 generations, which is a lot of generations. If you figure in a generation at 20 years, that's a lot of generations. That's a lot of signatures for us to carry that we don't even know anything about. So let's talk about some of the things that we might carry, some of the ways that we might be affected. So we talked about maybe you're great playing piano. Maybe you don't know why you have, we call it an ear for music, right? I have an ear for music. Maybe you have an ear for music, or maybe you have a talent that was passed down to you from an ancestor. When it comes to wounds, there are lots of things that we can carry. For example, if any of your ancestors had fear around poverty, maybe they lived in Ireland and went through the potato famine. Maybe they lived in a nomadic culture where food was not always available. Then you might have a sense of lack or a fear of lack. An uncertainty about where your food and sustenance comes from might be really upsetting to you. Or you might have a sense that you don't have a voice, that your voice is not heard, that you can't speak to things because maybe your ancestors lived in a land where there was great persecution. And so because they were persecuted, they learned not to speak. And maybe that fear you have of speaking up about what you believe is difficult to do because you have an ancestral signature that says you can't. Maybe you went through a pattern of abuse. Maybe there is abusive history in your family. And so you either have fear of abuse and because of that draw to you people who are abusive, or maybe you have abusive tendencies of your own that have to do with your perception of the world. Some of these that really are powerful for me are the things like considering obligations. What do you feel obligated to do? What is your duty? What did your ancestors believe belonged to them, was theirs to do, that you now feel you have to do a certain way? So all of these things affect who we are without us ever knowing why. Because we don't really get a lot of the long ancestral history, right? We get the short Reader's Digest version. We get to know what Grandma and Grandpa did, and we might get to know a little bit about what our great-grandparents did. But we don't get to know what happened 5 generations ago. Most of us can name 3 generations. Ours, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents. Most people cannot name 4 generations. A few can, most can't. And to be able to name 5 generations is a powerful thing, means that your family probably came from a place where ancestry is really important. So we have to do a little research, don't we, to figure out who we are, where our people came from, what happened in the land of our people, what happened there. So that might mean excavating some stories in your family, finding out who's still around and asking for more specifics about the area that you came from. Like, in my family, our ancestors are Italian. Awesome. What kind of Italian? Where? Northern, southern, central? 11 generations. What happened in central Italy over the last 11 generations? Over the last, let's say, 300 to 400 years? What happened there that might have affected who I am today? So there's an opportunity for us to do that. There's an opportunity for us to do self-exploration this time of year and really ask ourselves, what are the things about me that really don't make sense? What are the things I'm afraid of that I don't really have a reason for being afraid of? What are the things I'm good at that I don't know why I'm good at? What are some of the beliefs I have that I can't seem to quite shake, but I really don't have a reason for feeling that way? Now is the time that we can do some journaling about that, some self-reflection, and this is the time of year that we turn inward. And our ancestors are available to give us some hints with this. So we talk about the veils being thin. You might hear somebody say that. The veils are thin this time of year. So what does that really mean? It means that the space between this world and the world of spirit is thinner. So I like to think of it as a gate, that there is a gate between this world and the next world. And in the fall, when the grass is turning brown and the leaves are falling and the plants in the garden are starting to die off, the energy of all of that life that we had all spring and all summer is moving into the other world, isn't it? It's experiencing death and moving in the other world. So that's energy pushing the gates open. When the gates are open between the worlds, it's easier for the ancestors to get their messages to us. The same happens, we talk about it a lot this time of year, but the same happens in spring when the life force begins to come back and the gates open in a new direction to bring life force back into the world. Then once again, we can connect more readily because there's space between the world. There's energy moving, and that thins the veils and makes it easier for us to communicate. So this is a time of year when, if we take the time to be still and quiet, to invite our ancestors into our hearts and into our minds, into our spirits, and into communion with us, this is a time that the ancestors can more readily reach us. So what happens on the other side? Are they just sitting around waiting? I got nothing else to do. Probably not, right? Probably not. But the messages, the connection in the field of oneness that we all are, is available to us. In the same way that the ancestors, that the descendants that have not even been born yet to our awareness are dimensionally able to find us and to learn more from us, because we are one consciousness. We are one being, separated amongst many dimensions, amongst many lifetimes, amongst many awarenesses. And through that one source that we think of as the energetic God, the space that we can call by any name, God, universal energy, great spirit, source of all life, whatever we want to refer to, because it's just language, right? It's just our language. Because of being interconnected with all of life, these messages still exist. The connection to our ancestors exists. And this is a time to ask who they were. Who they were, what did they learn, what did they experience, what can we learn from them? How are they reflected in who we are? And all over the world, people make connections with their ancestors this time of the year. Because what we see happening here is happening to some degree everywhere on our hemisphere. And on the other hemisphere, it's happening the other way, isn't it? Life force is coming back because they're going into spring as we go into fall. So they're still able to do the same ancestral work. So how have your ancestors affected you? What do you carry forward from your ancestry? Sometimes it's how we sit in a chair. Sometimes it's our sense of posture that no one ever taught us we should have great posture, but it's important because there was a time it was important, right? I was talking with someone recently for whom it was very important to be able to crawl, like an older person needing to be able to get to the ground, and wondering what happened with your ancestors that maybe you had to crawl into a low entrance, or what happened? So what is important to you? And what would your ancestors say today if you were to open right now in this moment and invite them in? What I want to invite you to do is find a comfortable place where you're sitting. This will not be a long meditation, just a short one, but set yourself so you're comfortable, and then gently close your eyes. And just know that your space is a safe space, that you are here with people engaged in the same process. Know that this is a safe space for connecting, and know that only those who have your highest good in mind are able to come through this space to you. So take a deep breath in and release. Take another deep breath in and release. And one more deep breath in. And as you allow yourself to enter this sacred meditative time, know that any sound you hear around you just brings you deeper into yourself, just invites you to a better knowing of who you are and how you came to be and what flows through you. Anything you hear, anything that you feel guides you. So notice what it feels like to be in your body. Notice your feet on the ground, your hands and arms resting where they will. Notice the strength of your neck holding your head. Just notice yourself. You may see or sense or feel or know the answers to any of these questions. There's no way to do this wrong. So simply allow yourself to be aware of the impressions that come to you. I want to invite you to breathe freely and to notice a pinpoint of light. See it, or sense it, or feel it, and as you do, allow that pinpoint of light to expand into a picture, to open up, and as it does, to unfold a picture of a tree, whatever kind of tree appeals to you, whether it has needles or branches or leaves, all of those things. Just notice that tree. Notice that it has a stable trunk, and notice that it has wide-reaching roots that extend down into the earth, roots beyond what you can see. But you know it's there. You know those roots go deep, because notice how tall the tree is. And as you simply observe the tree, I want you to notice there are three distinct parts of the tree: its roots, its trunk, and its canopy. And be aware that that tree is symbolic of your life, that you too have roots that are your ancestors. You have a trunk that is visible to you, the shoulders upon which you stand, parents and grandparents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, people that are have formed a solid foundation for you. And then notice that third and distinct canopy aspect that in your life represents not only your life, but the lives that will come after you. That there will always be new life, farther reaching life, life that lets go and begins again over and over, repeating the cycle that connects us all. And as you notice all of this, begin to notice certain areas on your tree that are maybe a little bit brighter. Maybe the roots are calling to you. Maybe it's something at the trunk that has your intention and your interest. Maybe it's the canopy, because when we open to the ancestors, we open to those that are not born yet but may be coming soon. So the descendants, our descendants, who are not here yet, still hold that upcoming ancestral energy that will be reborn into a new form, into a new way of being. So simply notice where on your tree you are attracted. And notice as you move your attention, and remember you can see it, you can sense it, you can feel it, or you can simply know where you're being called. As you follow that point of interest, begin to allow a face or an awareness of someone to emerge. Maybe it's a father, a brother, an uncle. It could be an ancestor you've never met, someone from deep in the roots who you've never met but know you're connected to, or it could be someone who is so close to coming in that their ancestral presence is light and young. Simply notice who's there. We ask that who shows up brings a simple message for you. Perhaps a question for you to reflect on, perhaps a simple bit of information, perhaps a gift of knowing. Remember that the ancestors, as they come in, sometimes speak in words and sometimes speak in messages that are more symbolic. But the intention that we have is that everyone who shows up for us helps us have a better understanding of ourselves, brings to our awareness a time or place we should research, a story we've maybe forgotten and need to remember, an awareness of something about ourselves. Just take this short time in silence to notice what comes up for you. It may be a word or a picture or an awareness. Simply allow the next few minutes to just notice what shows up. is that comes up for you. Don't second guess it. Just notice it. Allow it to be what it is with no need to give it meaning. And allow yourself to open to other faces that might show up, other awarenesses, other ancestors. Some who carry gifts, some who carry wounds. Just notice them where they are on your tree. Where is it that you are most affected? Is it in your roots or your trunk or your canopy? Maybe it's all three. And as you notice, also notice at the top of the tree a star-like light just showing up at the top of the tree, almost like a Christmas tree. Notice that star, that light at the top of the tree, and notice that it's growing bigger. See it, sense it, feel it or know it. And allow that light, that brilliant light that is the holy, to begin to wrap itself around and down and through all the branches, touching every needle or leaf, bringing light to every point of being in your ancestral tree. Allow the light to move all the way down through every branch, all the way down through and around the canopy, down through and around the trunk, and right down into the roots, down into the earth. Feel that light reach all the way down to the deepest point of your ancestral connection. This is the light of healing, the light that touches the original source of ancient wounds, the light that is the giant eraser to relieve us of the pencil mark, the light that with our intention and our cooperation and our willingness can simply remove things that affect us that we're not even aware of and really don't need to be. And as that light in your mind surrounds the entire tree of your history, allow it also to move through your body. From the top of your head, all the way down around your ears and across your eyes, down through your jaw and your neck. Feel the light fill your heart and expand out into your shoulders and your back, down the lengths of your arms to your hands, through your torso, down through your hips and your pelvic girdle, all the way down through your legs, through your knees to your calves, down through your ankles, and from your heels all the way down to your toes and into the earth where you connect. Knowing that this light is healing light, that this light that moves through you brings you wholeness, removes what does not serve you, opens you to your highest self, to do your greatest good work, to be who you came to be and who your ancestors dreamed you to be. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, release anything that doesn't serve you. Again, breathing in, exhale, breathing in, exhale, And a third time, breathing in and exhale. Before we open our eyes again, take just a moment to say thank you. To say thank you for who you are. To say thank you for the gifts you've received, whether they came as talents or wounds. To say thank you for every ancestor. They say it takes about 4,000 to get us here. For every ancestor who managed to stay alive, who managed to dream into a future, who managed to take another breath, to climb another mountain, to move through all the difficulties they faced. Say thank you to every ancestor whose gift of life resulted in the gift of you. And know that your gift to those who come after you is to breathe and live and love and find joy. And when you feel complete with your ancestors, gently open your eyes. As you gently come back to this space, notice yourself in your body again. Feet on the ground, inhabiting all the way to your fingertips and down to your toes. Back in here, full of light and love. And remembering that there is something so amazing about the fact that you are here. It took so many people, so many souls, so much love for all of us to be here right now. I invite you to take that awareness with you as you move into the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Who knows what we'll talk about, but I'll see you then.